All right, should be popping up here in just a second. How's it going, everybody? It is the Osmo.com NHL DFS Strategy show, and we have a huge 13 gamer to talk about for tonight. So we'll try to make it as succinct as possible. We'll go over last night very briefly. It was a two gamer, not my favorite slate, but some people had success, so we need to show what the nuts were, and then hopefully we can unlock them for tonight's slate as well. Uh, just tons of games to get through, so we're just if you got any questions, as always, just pop them in chat, or if I'm missing something, feel free to let me know. Uh, Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports is the sponsor of the NHL DFS Strategy Show. Use promo code OSMO to get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points. And then you're going to want to support Yahoo because they have lower management fees, weaker competition across the board. And, they've got some smaller contests for NHL, but I have had some decent success playing over on Yahoo, and it's a little bit different of a gameplay with the plus minus. They've got soccer. They've got bigger NBA prizes as well. $15 entry fee, 7.5K to first, 12% management fee. NFL, they're always bringing it. 150K baller, 12.3% management fee. That's about 75% of what you're going to pay on DraftKings and FanDuel. Flatter payouts, all that good stuff. So Yahoo should appeal to you, even if you are the best of players. I think it's a good place to play, and they support us, so it's only right that we support them as well. NBA projections are free today. That is our free piece of premium NBA content. These will not be free tomorrow. Only today you get Alex's projections, and then Alex and my projections for NHL are also free today. This is Alex's model. I always talk about. I had a little bit of input, but these are mostly Alex's numbers. So you're getting good numbers. Use those, plug them into Fantasy Cruncher, or just look at them and use them for your hand building needs, however you see fit. Lineup study from last night. Let's just quick look at the two gamer. Don't know how to pronounce this user's name. This is the Twine. Whatever. I clicked on it. Let's just go to this. Shen, Perron, Steen, Petrangelo, Falk. So a five-man. You're playing a five-man stack here for Philadelphia. For St. Louis. Patrick Kane one off. Couturier, Konechny. I mean, it was almost like intentional lack of correlation here, because you're playing guys from three different even strength lines. I don't remember exactly how the power play just go. I know Shen and Perron both on the top power play. Steen is not, to my knowledge. And then Falk and Petrangelo not on the same power play either. So maybe just the thought was you just try to capture anytime St. Louis scores, you're probably going to see your score go up, unless it's like some fourth line, full line goal. But yeah, interesting line of construction. And then Couturier, Konechny, those guys not on the same line anymore. I believe they were on the same power play, though. So at least you've got some correlation there. It's a two-gamer. I mean, stuff's going to happen. Crawford, 25 almost DK points, was very solid for 7K. And, of course, the Kane one-off. Never gonna complain about that. Let's quick go to... Wait, do they not have the... Oh, they do have the $10. This was not... Wait, am I on the right slate here? I am on the right slate. This was 10K. So I think something's up with lineup study right now. Let's look at FanDuel. What took it down here? Because you couldn't play five players. You can't play five players on FanDuel. Couturier, Voracek. All right, so there you go. There's a two-man Philadelphia 2 or 1, whatever you want to call it. Kane, DeBrincat, Keith. So Kane and DeBrincat both on the power play together. Thomas, Steen, third line for St. Louis. Yeah, some of you guys were talking up St. Louis 3 last night. I wish I would have listened to you guys a little bit more. I ended up with very little St. Louis 3. And I think I ended up with 0 St. Louis 3 full line stacks. So had a couple two-mans mixed in there, but ultimately was not enough to do any damage, at least for me. Like, I don't even think I'm in this tournament. So, yeah, I think they've got the names wrong here. So, whatever. I guess we can't see. I know I got back about 65% of my entry fees, which if you would have told me that midway through the slate, I would have easily cashed out for that. Some good stuff happened for me to get a decent chunk of my entry fees back, but it looked really bad there for a while. First couple goals did not help me at all. So let's talk about tonight. 13 games I will try to go through as soon as possible. In case I forget to mention this at some point during the show, if you could give us a like, that would be very helpful. It helps us continue to do this kind of content for free. Here we go. Penguins, Bruins, 2.8 implied total for the Pens, 3.2 for the Bruins. Tristan Jarry and Yaroslav Halak expected to go here. Is it a Boston one night? I mean, it looks like a pretty good price for them, and based on what they've been doing at home recently, they've been playing the Couturier line, or Couturier, jeez, good start. The Corrali line against opposing top competition some, and so, you know, if you could avoid Crosby, I think you would like to do that. It's not like Boston one can't get there going against Crosby, but if they're going against Cahoon and Malkin and Rust, I think that's a much better offensive matchup for them. So I think it is an okay spot for Boston one. I mean, they're always at least in the conversation. And even though it is an okay Boston one spot, I'm still having trouble getting to a lot of them just because of how solid Pittsburgh's been in terms of limiting quality chances basically the whole season, right? Regardless of how many injuries they've had. So a little bit of a head scratcher here for me. But yeah, not getting to a lot of Boston one. There are a ton of other options. I guess it's just like you've got Colorado one for a similar price, and for me, it's probably Colorado one over Boston one tonight. If I had to choose, even though that's the chalky answer, I think that's the way I would go. So never any shame stacking up Boston one, but it'll be frustrating for me if that's the stack that goes nuts. I'm not really on Pittsburgh here either. I've been loving playing some Malkin, but even I am not getting to Malkin tonight. Boston's just a really tough matchup when they're at home. This is one of the lower totals you'll see for Pittsburgh, home or road. 2.8 doesn't really make me want to stack them up. Nothing about the matchups here makes me want to play a lot of Pitt. So I'm pretty much good with this game. I hope it stays somewhat quiet. I hope it's a little tight checking, and I will move it on because I don't really like any of the defensemen too much either. Let's go to Calgary, Toronto. 2.9 implied total for the Flames, 3.6 for the Maple Leafs. Riddick, I believe, is the correct pronunciation, and then Freddie Anderson for the Leafs. I can pronounce Mangiapane, but I can't go with Riddick. That's funny stuff. Matthews, Marner, Hyman. I suppose that would be my preferred line. I think we're gonna see Tavares, Nylander, and Engvall against Monahan, Gaudreau, and Backlund. It's just always tough because most teams treat that as the top line when they've had Tkachuk and Monahan and Gaudreau split up. But who knows what the Leafs are going to do? Just because most teams believe that's the top line doesn't mean that that's necessarily what they'll do. And it will be the same kind of thing, at least my thought process would be the same kind of thing with when we talk about the Rangers later because of how hot Panarin's been. So I don't know. That's my lean as far as a read on line matching here. I don't know that it's going to matter too much. Both Leafs lines look really good to me. And even then, I'm having trouble getting to a lot of the Leafs lines right now. So I'm actually getting to more Tavares than I thought. I guess it's just because Engvall's cheap, and you're still getting two guys in the top power play with the second line. So I guess there's reasons to play them over, but just my mind wants to play more Matthews and Marner. It's just a price thing. And boy, $5,600 Hyman, like it was cool when he's 4,200 and 4K playing with these two guys, and you could add them in if you were full line stacking. But now, like we're even projecting here. Let's see what we got. I know last slate we were projecting him for quite a bit of ownership. Let's see where he's at. Yeah, I mean you're not getting him at 1%, and even if he comes in at half the ownership that we have Matthews at, that's significant on a 13-game slate. So yeah, really expensive here for Toronto 1, and even though that'd be the line I'd like to play more of, I actually might get to a little bit more Toronto 2. The more I look at it, the more I factor in these ownership projections, because we've just got Tavares and Engvall similar, and they're cheaper, and the projection isn't that far off. Flames lines, I don't really have much that I'm targeting here. The Leafs have not been playing at the run and gun style as much this season. It's kind of shown in their numbers. I did get to 3% of the Monahan line, but I think that might even get filtered out by time we get to lock. So if the slate started right now, I would have a one single share of the Monahan, Backlund, Gaudreau line. So would not really say that I'm on them. Defenseman here, Geo 6,500. I guess we like defensemen against the Leafs. I don't know if that's just a narrative or what. I know some people in Slack track this kind of thing, but I don't think it's that great of a spot for Geo, especially if I'm not too keen on the lines. Tyson Barrie at 5,800. Like, why is everybody priced up so much for the Leafs? I get that it's a good total, but they've had these big totals before, and now we're seeing these prices just skyrocket. You could fit Toronto 1 with Pittsburgh 1. I mean, go for it if you want. But wait, is that even right? Oh, because Simone and McCann. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I just don't think it's a good matchup for Pittsburgh. So, and then the Matthews line is so expensive. And as is Tyson Barrie. So that's it. Not a ton I'm targeting in this game either. If I could only choose one side, it's very easily for me the Leaf side, but I don't know that I'm going to be overweight on the Matthews line. The line I think I might get overweight on is the Tavares line, actually. So I think I misspoke when I first started. Hull and Marinson and CC are all cheap. I'd probably go right back to Justin Hull at 2,500. There's a bunch of mid-salary punts you can mess with tonight. I think he's one of them. Kings, Panthers, 2.8 implied total for the Kings, 3.7 for the Panthers. Jack Campbell expected to go against Chris Drager for Florida. This seems to be somewhat of a one-sided affair. Once again, it's kind of everything you need to know in the goal totals here. I will say, though, the Barkov line hasn't been great defensively, and so I'm at least a little bit interested in playing Kopitar, Iafallo, Toffoli. Not a terrible total here for the Kings. No Bobrovsky. I don't know. I mean, is that even a good thing or a bad thing for opponents at this point? He's kind of had an up and down season. So Kopitar, Iafallo, Toffoli, you're getting those guys pretty cheap. Not a bad 5-on-5 matchup based on the amount of chances that Florida 1 gives up, if that indeed is going to be the matchup. I guess I'm not super clear on that, but that's who I would expect to see the most time against each other. Florida's not a great defensive team, and then you add in the wild card of goaltending. So I like the way that the Kopitar, Iafallo, Toffoli line has played, and that will be the one I get to a little bit. You guys like Connolly, Trocheck, Hoffman So you're going to leave off the hat trick waiting to happen. Noel Acciari. 4,800 for Acciari. I feel like he hasn't done anything in between his hat trick games. He's a guy I never check on. This Florida line they've just killed me recently. So he had back-to-back hat tricks. He's had his off games, but everyone's going to have his off games. He's playing good minutes. I don't know. Maybe I'm a fish for just completely disregarding him in tournaments. Like, he's played well. Florida 2 is not a line that I'm targeting, though. I don't know if that's just me being stubborn or what, but when using Fantasy Cruncher and using the tools on the site and even factoring in some like line matching stuff and giving bumps to certain lines, I still only got to 3% of the Trocheck line right now. So going back to Walker, yeah, I like Walker. 3,500 for him. I think I say it every time, but he's got decent rates, and he's playing around 20 minutes, and he's cheap. So yeah, I don't mind Sean Walker. Yeah, we know Acciari has upside. Is the login for FC and lineup builder down? I don't know. I haven't. That's a good question. I haven't refreshed, so I'm not going to refresh just in case it is down, so you guys can at least see this. But it's been working for me. You can't log into the actual Osmo site. All right, I won't refresh anything right now then. So we'll get that back up and running, I'm sure, very shortly. Brady Shea or Sean Walker. I would go with whoever is projected higher on the site if it's just a 1v1. I don't think you're going to need to worry about ownership with either of those guys. So whatever one we have projected higher. In general, that's what I would do with 1v1s if the ownership is close, if we're talking about tournaments. Yeah, so that's, Florida 1 looks really good to me here. I don't even know if I mentioned that. Right now, Florida 1 is my second highest owned stack, actually. I just see nothing wrong with them. They're good at they're good offensively at 5-on-5. I mentioned they're not elite defensively by any means. They've got 3 guys that can score goals. And I think they're priced decently, and I don't think they're owned maybe as much as they should. So I also don't think, it's a 13-game slate, so no one's going to get 20% owned as a full line. But if you're getting these guys at, 6-7%, I think that's a pretty good deal with one of the higher implied totals. A perfectly fine 5-on-5 spot. They're all on the top power play. You can leave in Keith Yandel. You can take him out if you please. Yeah, I think they're going to go up against Kopitar. That's not the end of the world. Not even close. I don't think that's a matchup you have to avoid. Kopitar, I follow, unless I'm just completely off base on this. Yeah, you don't have to avoid that. Okay. Doughty gets 5 blocks tonight. Dude, freaking Doughty doesn't do anything, it feels like. I don't know. I have more Sean Walker than Doughty. I know they're not the same price, but there you go. There's my Sean Walker love for today's show. Ekblad, 4,500. That would be a guy I would consider as a one-off. Yandel, I haven't done this for a few slates, but he's probably going to be a guy where I just make a group. He's on the third pairing tonight. He's probably going to still play 18, 20 minutes, but this is probably a night where I make a group that says if I play Keith Yandel, I have to play Florida 1, or at least Barkov, Dadonov, Huberdeau, some mix of those guys. He's just 4,700 for him, for a guy that doesn't do a lot. You're looking for assists, and so that would be the kind of defenseman I would make groups for in tournaments using Fantasy Cruncher. All right, let's go to the next game. Rangers Islanders, 2.7 implied total for the Rangers, 3.4 for the Islanders. Alexander Georgiev Georgiev, I can't remember the pronunciation. Forgot to look that one up. Semyon Varlamov for the Isles. I really like this game. That's going to be no shock to anyone. I like that it's not a 6.5 total game. At least it wasn't when I updated these. I think we're going to get some pretty good matchups. Nelson Beauvillier, Brassard going up against, I think they're going to go up against Zibanejad, Kreider, Buchnevich. Could they go up against Strome and Panarin because of how red hot Artemi Panarin is right now? That's a possibility. You don't necessarily know what they're going to do here, but either way, I think the top 6, there's a lot of intrigue for me. I always target against the Islanders. That's probably fishy, but it feels like I'm always on the team against them. And tonight, I like the Zibanejad, Kreider, Buchnevich line. Once again, maybe there's some recency bias with Panarin. Not saying Panarin's a bad play, but I think 6,800, 5K for Strome, and then Jesper Fast. I know he's had his moments recently, but I like the top line. I think the price is right on them, and I think the matchup is pretty good against the Nelson line. And even if it's against the Barzal line, that's perfectly fine too. I feel like Rangers 1 should have better numbers than what they have. So maybe that's more of a field play, but I also have them generating a good share of the high danger chances, expected goals, whatever you want to call it. Georgiev. Okay, so it's Gior, not Gior. Got it. Gior. There we go. Alexander Georgiev. Tony D, 4,600. Yeah, I think that's fine. With a Rangers 1 stack, you could probably use him as a one-off. I'm more often going to use him as an add-on piece to a Rangers 1 or Rangers 2 stack if that is more up your alley. And then on the Islanders side, hard not to be interested in these guys just based on how bad the Rangers are defensively. I like the Barzal line better. I think everybody's going to like the Barzal line. I'm assuming that is reflected in our ownership projections as well. I think they're way too low owned right now. I know the Islanders are frustrating to play because they roll lines more consistently, or I guess they spread their even strength time flatter. But I think it's a really, really good spot, and most spots are good when you're going up against the Rangers. Better play today, Zibanejad or Aho. Again, I would look at the projections on the site. And if you are not a member, promo code Hit the Ice gets you 50% off your first week of any Awesome Plus Weekly package. But seriously, that's what I would do. I would look at the projections on the site if you're looking at 1v1s. Elvis has been super hot. Yeah, he's been really good. Nelson, Beauvillier, Brassard, more of a filler line for me. I'm playing 150 lineups tonight, but I'm gonna have quite a big stand here between Islanders 1 and Islanders 2, and I think between Rangers 1 and Rangers 2, I like the top line better, the Zibanejad line a little bit better. Yeah, so that's the problem. Philly Joe says Islanders have 3 decent lines, hard to stack with them. I get it. We almost got there last time. If it wasn't for all the one-offs that everybody was on, if they all didn't get hat tricks last game, we might have been onto something with Isles 1. They were good, but ultimately they didn't bink, and so maybe people are upset with them. But I have no issue with Islanders 1. In fact, I like them a lot. Pulock, 4,900. I think this is a Pulock spot for me. I haven't really, I've kind of been off the bandwagon lately on Pulock, and by lately I mean like basically the entire season, outside of the first couple weeks when I was using last year's data. I like him for 4,900 here. More of a one-off play, or if you're trying to get secondary power play time, which I don't necessarily recommend.
like second power play stacks. If you're trying to do that, then he probably goes better with Nelson and Brassard and Beauvillier. But yeah, I'm thinking more of a one-off for Pulock. He had 2 or 3 assists. Islanders 3 games in 4 days. Needed Brock Nelson hat trick to take down everything. Dang. Maybe you'll get it tonight. All right, let's go to the next game. Canadiens, Flyers, 2.7 implied total for Montreal, 3.2 for the Flyers. Carey Price and maybe Brian Elliott, maybe Alex Lyon. Carter Hart's out for a while, so it's not going to be him. I think this might be the game. Let me see this before I say this, but there's nothing I really love in this game. I think the thing I shouldn't say there's nothing I love. There's nothing that projections love. I get how expensive the Hayes Giroux Konechny line is, but if we get the matchups right with Couturier going up against Danault, Tatar, Kovalchuk, you would think that's going to be the matchup. Then that kind of opens things up for the Hayes, Giroux, and Konechny line. And we know Domi line is fun. They're also bad defensively. So yes, this line's overpriced, but people love their value stacks in NHL DFS. I think value is probably a little bit overrated. You need to hit the nut stack. I mean, I think there's an outside chance that Philadelphia 1 is one of the top stacks, and they're not getting owned like they even have a shot. So based on what we have on Philadelphia 1, I'm going to be overweight on them. I don't think it's not going to take a lot to get overweight on Philadelphia 1. You're getting full power play correlation. Price is in net. But Montreal played last night. Philadelphia also played last night. So it is back-to-back, but Philadelphia going back home. Habs are washed. Always some measured takes here in chat. I love it. Montreal without Gallagher is below average. I mean, yeah, Gallagher's a big part of it. Had them in Toronto stacked with Penguins. So, yeah, man, that's kind of crazy that you can stack up Crosby and his line mates with basically anyone. But still not something I'm particularly interested in doing. So if we're thinking about this based on a chance of being a top stack compared to their ownership, I think Philadelphia 1 is under owned. So even if you put them at a 5% chance of being the top stack, which might even be a little bit aggressive, if they're going to come in at 2% owned, I think that might be a play you want to. I think that might be a play you want to consider playing in multi-entry MME formats, which is what I will be doing. So even if the projections don't give you them, might be wise to force in a couple of them. Provorov at 6,100 seems kind of crazy. I'm out on that. On the Montreal side, it would be the Domi line if I'm going to any of the Canadiens lines, just because I don't really want any part of Couturier just in general. I really respect a lot on home ice if I get these matchups right. Like he is someone where I will be oftentimes crossing off the line he's going to be going up against. Not always, but I think tonight would be one of those nights where if I was getting a bunch of Danault, Tatar, and Kovalchuk, I might either limit them or just completely cross them off. All right. I think we're good on this game. Man, I've got some weird like subconscious Philly fandom because I like never play lines against them. I don't know. They just don't take a lot of penalties. They're average defensively. I don't even know what their record is, but I'd probably be surprised at how bad it was if I had to guess. Like I'm probably just overrating Philadelphia in general, but who knows? Let's go to the Devils and the Capitals. 2.8 implied total for the Devils. 3.8 for the Caps. Louis Domingue, Ilya Samsonov are your goalies. You know, at first when I was looking to this game, I just figured that Washington won would be obscene chalk, but you think about that, and then it's like, all right, well, maybe everybody looks at that. They're 25-16, Philadelphia's? Jeez. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Wow. Maybe I'm not overrating them that much then. I figured this Capitals game, that the Caps won would just be crazy chalk. They're not crazy chalk. Even if they're chalk, you might even get OV at under 20%. I like Caps one a lot. I think everyone's going to like them a lot. It's a good power play spot for them if they can get the opportunities. OV's OV. Backstrom's a little bit expensive, but you're going to need an outlier performance anyways on a 13-game slate. So you're paying for the multi-point game, the Ovechkin multi-goal game, and Backstrom's in on the assist. Carlson's right now my highest owned defenseman. I'm perfectly fine with that. Even if the Caps dud here and score 2 goals, it feels like he just always gets it done. And, I mean, his assist rates are outrageous. He's putting a ton of shots on goal. He's attempting a ton of shots. Like, everything you want in a DFS defenseman is John Carlson, constantly exposed to good players with this very good top 6 for the Caps. Yeah, so there's me swooning over John Carlson that you guys have heard me do all season. If you've been watching, would be thrilled if he's my highest owned defenseman. I have him over Yossi too. I shouldn't say over Yossi. I have more of him than Yossi based on running 4-3-1s. We've got the Caps a little bit higher than the Preds, and so that's why I'm getting a little bit more Carlson than Yossi, but some people were poking fun at me in our Slack about don't tell Jake that they have Yossi over Carlson, but I think that's a fine play as well. I don't know that there's a wrong answer. Where do you get the implied totals for NHL? Well, you can just use this site as a lineup site. We'll put Alex's implied totals up here every day when the projections get uploaded, if you want to check that out. These are actually Alex's and mine to some extent, implied totals. So you're going to find different stuff on different sites when you search for NHL implied totals or whatever, but they'll be about the same. So Backstrom, OV, Wilson, probably going to spend the most time against Nico, Bratt, and Miles Wood. There's nothing I can really say that's bad about this matchup, to be honest. It's just whether or not you think our ownership projections are correct. If that's the case, I think, yeah, fire up all the Caps. If you think they're going to be higher, maybe make that adjustment in whatever way you like to implement the ownership projections. But yeah, Caps right now are... Caps 1 is my highest owned stack, which is weird. When they're popular, I feel like I'm never on them when they're popular. But here we are. Caps 1. I guess they're getting pushed up for me a little bit because you're seeing similar ownership on Colorado 1. You're probably splitting hairs on them, but it looks like it's going to be pretty split between the two, with McKinnon and Ovi getting the bulk of the ownership, and then their line mates coming in at a little bit less. But yeah, it looks good. It looks very good. Zajac, Coleman, Gusev. I think if we're right on Backstrom, Ovi, Wilson going up against Hischier for the most part, I don't know that it's going to be a hard match, but if that is the case, then that kind of opens things up for Zajac, Coleman, and Gusev. Specifically Coleman and Gusev. Zajac, we know what we're getting out of him, but that line's pretty cheap. Coleman's coming off a Hattie, so people will probably be excited to play him. I don't think you're going to get him at 1% or anything like that, but Kuznetsov line, how bad have they been? Just terrible defensively and not good offensively either. Kuznetsov, Verana, and Oshie. Washington probably highest owned. It's close. It's really close between Washington and Colorado. So, Toronto is also up there to some extent. Yeah. 0 Washington ready to get burned. Yeah, I mean, right, if you're playing a single lineup, just play whoever you think is the best play. Playing 150, like I said, I think Washington's a great play, and I will be playing a lot of Washington. It might come down a little bit. I'm almost at like 30% Washington, which I think is a bit aggressive based on the way I like to, just like my normal play style. I'm guessing that probably comes down to 20, 22, 23 before lock. But they will certainly be up there for me. I don't think there's any reason for me to get off of them. Let's move it on. We talked about Carlson. Vots likes my style. All right, there we go. As long as Vots likes my style, I must be doing something right. All right, Carolina, Columbus. 2.9 implied total for the Canes. 2.6 for the Jackets. Peter Mrazek and Elvis Merzlikins, aforementioned. Merzlikins, who has just been hamming all over the league lately. I think he's like 6-0-2 since becoming the starter. I mean, pretty impressive. Really low total in this game. Columbus is a team I respect defensively. Vegas obviously respects them defensively. Jeez, am I drawing on myself? Cam Atkinson is back for the Blue Jackets. The problem is I don't think it's a good matchup for really anyone in this game. If you wanted to take a stab at Aho, Teravainen, and Niederreiter, that might be something I try out, but honestly, I'd rather just play more plays that I think are better. Like, I don't think there's really anything in this game that I love. Jenner, Nyquist, Foligno probably going to spend the most time against the top line for Carolina, which would, in my opinion, be the Aho line. So do with that what you will. But, yeah, I got to a couple Dubois, Atkinson, Bemstrom's shares. Dubois and Atkinson back. Atkinson hopefully healthy. Both those guys in the top power play. I know that's not a huge appeal when playing Columbus, but that would be the line I would gravitate to a little bit. This game's pretty gross. Outside of Merzlikins, if Carolina does what they normally do and put up a bunch of shots and win the shot attempt battle, then maybe you're looking at a potential 35 save bonus for Merzlikins, but Columbus is pretty good defensively. Dougie at 7,100 seems a bit crazy for me tonight. I'm a big Dougie guy, but yeah, not the night for the Canes. I will feel pretty left out if that's the team that binks it tonight. They're also not getting a lot of ownership, right? Let's see. Yeah, they're getting barely any ownership. So maybe there's something to be said for taking a chance on a line that I think is really good, the Aho line. But outside of that, it would be more of a Hail Mary than anything. Almost 50% bonus as the starter? Wow. If you're in a league where you get points for elbowing a goalie in the head, take Bemstrom. Not a good look for him. I did see that one. Okay, let's move it on. Golden Knights, Ottawa Senators, 3.4 implied total. For the Knights, 2.7. For the Senators, Marc-Andre Fleury and Craig Anderson are your goalies. Well, Anderson is confirmed. Fleury, not yet confirmed. We should know right around lock. So always pay attention. Huge slate. There's probably going to be some changes at the last minute. This one, it is pretty important. At least it's important to me because, well, we know where we're going if we're playing Ottawa, right? At least for me, it's Pajot and Kachuk. You can do what you want with Connor Brown. Maybe play Batherson at 2,600 if you're trying to get the power play and get a little bit of differentiation. With the Senators, who are they going to match? I don't know. because we know Pajot likes to hard match against opposing top competition. For the most part, that's been Carlson, Marchessault, Smith. But again, does that necessarily mean that Ottawa is going to hard match them? I don't know. I hope that's the case because I really want to play some Pacioretty and Stone and Stevenson. Stevenson, man, every single time this line plays together, they get 20 shot attempts and they score 1 goal, which is fine for consistency, but it's not great for DFS. And now Stevenson's priced up to 4,400. I always laugh when I see his ownership, and maybe people are laughing at me for playing so much of this line and this player, but I like to do a lot of 3-3 stacks, and he's usually like 1% owned on these bigger slates. But if you look at the numbers, Pacioretty, Stone, and Stevenson together, closer to 4 expected goals, 4 per 60, which is absolutely outrageous. And if you get the hard match for Pajot, between Pajot against standard Vegas 1, the Carlson line, now you're getting an elite line, Pacioretty, Stone, and Stevenson, going up against Tierney, Nemesnikov, Duclair, White, Ennis, Batherson, the fourth line garbage that they have too. Like, Ottawa's so brutal defensively outside of that top line. And even that top line's not elite defensively. So, yes, Vegas has the huge advantage. Oh, by the way, what do you guys think of Gallant getting fired? Seems a little bit crazy to me, but again, not the biggest like real life hockey guy. I was surprised. I didn't even know that was a thing. I just figured Vegas was having a fine season. They're like 3 points out of the division. So weird, especially after, they should have moved on last year in the playoffs. They should have beat the Sharks. Just garbage call. You guys know the story. And then 2 years ago, was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago? 2 years ago, their first season, they go to the Cup Finals. Just crazy. And now you hire this donkey, DeBoer. Weird stuff. What is with the NHL also with just like hiring guys that just got fired in season? Does that happen in any other sport? It's so weird. I don't get that. But whatever. Vegas 2 is my favorite here. I will be playing some Vegas 3. Probably won't have too much Vegas 1. It's not a matchup thing. I just really prefer... I mean, it is kind of a matchup thing. I just prefer Vegas 2. And this is going to be more of your optimizer play. They're a fine play. I just think tougher matchup, in my opinion, even though I can't be 100% sure about how the matchup is going to go. Shabbat, 5,500. I guess if you're going with Ottawa 1, he might be a guy to include. Going to play a ton of minutes. Hainsey at 2,500. He's going to play minutes, and that's it. That's really it. Same thing with Mike Riley at 2,700. He's going to get some secondary power play time. Same thing with Zaitsev, although he does basically nothing with his time. Vegas 2? Yeah, Vegas 2. For sure. And Shea Theodore, 5,100. Good price. Seems like a pretty good spot. He'll be up there for me as well. Let's go to the Ducks and the Predators. 2.3 implied total for the Ducks, 3.4 for the Preds. Gibson, Saros. So I thought Saros was confirmed. We don't have him confirmed right now, but he's the likely goalie. We'll put it like that. I really like the Duchesne, Forsberg, Granlund line. Not a big deal to me which line they go up against. The Getzlaf, Raquel, and Sprong. I actually don't know that we have a big sample on that for this season, at least. It's Anaheim here, and Duchesne, Forsberg, and Granlund have been really good together. They're incredibly cheap. They are also probably going to be an optimizer play. It looks to be the case. And what mean by that is just because they're going to come up as good value in a lot of projection systems, ours included. And so when you're using Optimizer, it's just going to jam in as much value as possible based on the rules you allow it to work within. And so it's not like they're going to go overlooked tonight. They're just not. Maybe you play the top line here. I still don't think I can play the top line over the second. I'm going to play a lot of the second line and probably call it good. If I get a couple stragglers of Johansson, Yarncroc, and Smith, I'll be okay with that. But we also got to make room for some Nashville 3. So Bonino, Grimaldi, and Arvidsson seems like a pretty good deal for this line, and they're going to get good minutes. They're going to get the favorable matchups. They broke up Nashville 3. Yeah, so sad that they added Victor Arvidsson and took off, what was it, Blackwell? I think they're gonna survive. Smith. It was Smith. Smith had been playing well though. I think Arvidsson is probably an upgrade though, so I think we're good on that front. Nashville wins the play, Seth says. Okay, well, if Seth says Nashville wins the play, Yarncroc getting a Hattie. Jeez. Ryjo Johansson, he would be the guy I wouldn't play as a one-off. There's a ton of guys like that, but that's your example of a guy who, low volume shooter, he's always overpriced. He always gets the fancy power play one tag, so he projects okay, but he needs others to do the work for him to achieve his upside. So that's why you don't play a guy like Johansson as a one-off. Nashville 2, my favorite play here by a pretty good margin. Ownership also dictates that, so I'm not saying anything crazy. If the slate started right now, I would have about at the field with the Johansson line, and then I would be pretty decently over on Nashville 2. So I like that. Silverberg game time decision. I don't know. I shouldn't say it barely. I looked at the Ducks. I always try to look at these low total teams to see if I can find anything, but who are we playing in the Ducks? I'm not playing much of anything over there. So I am good to move on. Yossi at 7,400. Not the best price for Yossi, but him and Carlson are probably the only guys that deserve those prices right now. They're both priced up. I'm still able to get to a lot of them because there's value in a bunch of these line stacks, even on Yossi's team. Nashville 2. Nashville 1's got a good price too. I'm still going to get to a lot of Yossi. All in on Minnesota top line. Jeez. Oh. All right then. Tampa, Minnesota. McElhinney, Alex Stalock, 3.6 implied total for the Wild, 2.8. 3.6 for the Lightning, 2.8 for the Wild. That sounded wrong. New Wild lines. Stahl, Parise, Zuccarello. Koivu, Greenway, Hartman. Rask, Zucker, Fiala. I'll be honest, I don't really like any of these lines for the Wild. I think that they're more often than not going to be a fine defensive team. However, I think these lines just stink. I like the idea of putting Fiala and Zucker together. I think that's good. Hate that Victor Rask is between them. Maybe you can, can you dig up the Wild line that's going to do damage here? I don't feel like I can. So they've been cheap basically all season, and so that's why people have been playing them and hate them. But yeah, against Tampa here, where's there an advantage? Even if you thought one of these lines were good, I don't see much to like at all. So there's your kiss of death. Minnesota's going to be the nuts, but I will be left out of the party. They usually use Koivu against opposing top competition. They have been experimenting some with Eriksson Ek, Cunnin, and Greenway, but now that Greenway is with Koivu, I don't know how this all fits together. So I think I'm just out on Minnesota. I don't feel too bad about it either. On the Lightning side, I'm pretty low on them once again. I guess I just never get to Tampa when the field's not getting to them. Now they look pretty low owned, so maybe if you want to go with the Tampa power play stack, we saw Pittsburgh power play go nuts against them last game. The game at 5-on-5 wasn't very one-sided at all, but Tampa has the advantage here. I like other spots better. I like other spots better than Tampa. So they're all yours if you want a low-owned Tampa 1 or Tampa Bay power play stack. Minnesota, I think, is tougher than people give them credit for, at least defensively. Next game, because if I'm not on Tampa, I'm probably not on $6,700 defenseman in Hedman. And then Suter, Dumba, Spurgeon, Conundrum. I'm kind of just out on the team as a whole. Yeah, the Wild are going to try to slow the game down. That's what they do oftentimes at home. They've been a fine home team for a number of years now. Sabres, Stars, 2.1 implied total for the Sabres, 3.3 for the Stars. Linus Ullmark going for the Sabres, Bishop going for the Stars. Yeah, Boom's not going to like what I had to say about Tampa, but maybe he will about Colorado. Man, this is one where you guys might need to talk me off the ledge, because I'm getting too much of Buffalo, the top line. I'm not some sicko playing Curtis Lazar or something like that. But Eichel, Reinhart, and Jurgensen, they're grading out as an okay value. But that total, my God, that total is disgusting. But this is the spot where, all right, how does Buffalo have an outlier performance here and score 3 goals? Well, first of all, we've got them projected incredibly low, like almost 0. And so I like that. Because if I'm going to play a line that's not in a good spot, then I might as well have them be low owned, right? Recency bias with the Sabres? Why? Have they gone off recently? Well, if they have, I have not been part of that. They probably have, and I just haven't noticed. Yeah, so I'm playing like 5-6% of Buffalo 1. So it's not like I'm going all in on them or anything, but that is a little bit high when I could consider, like, I could just make a new lineup and play another combo of Colorado 1 or Washington 1 or get more Toronto. But yeah, I'm playing some Buffalo 1. Dallas does take a lot of penalties, so maybe they get hot on the power play, scored once or twice. Sagan, Ben, Radulov. Yeah, I think it's a decent Dallas one night. 3.3 implied total. They're not like my highest owned line, Josh. I know Josh is in chat right now. They're up there though. They're in the top 5 for me tonight. Dallas 1. And I kind of like both of their defensemen too. So both Heiskanen, well, especially Heiskanen. I know he doesn't, like, he goes through these stretches where he doesn't have any peripherals, and he's kind of in one of those right now. So that's a little bit worrisome, but he is on the top power play. And if I'm playing a lot of Dallas 1, I like to do some power play stacking, or stack at least 2 guys on the power play with a defenseman. Heiskanen already grades out as an okay play for us at 4,800. So there you go. That's what I'm doing. Cogliano, Dickinson. Actually, with no facts, they're not going to. I don't think they're going to match that line against Eichel. So if you play Buffalo 1, like I'm playing some of them, then you're just looking for Dallas to take a couple penalties. It's plausible that Buffalo could score a couple goals at 5-on-5 too. Like, this is hockey. Weirder things have happened than Buffalo 1 being the nuts, or at least Eichel. But if Eichel could just, if he's going to be the nuts tonight and score a hat trick, it'd be nice if he could get his line mates involved for once. That's all I ask. Hints. Actually, no, not the second line. I was thinking of something else. I saw Radulov, Hintz, and Pavelski, and I thought of something completely different, but that is not going to be the case. We thought this gentleman was maybe going to be on the top line. Last game, he was not. So it appears that that's not even a possibility, at least to start with tonight, until Dallas gets down 1-0, and then they just blend everything into oblivion. Sharks, Abs. Reinhart just had 40. Did he really? Was that 2 nights ago? Was that 2 nights ago? Who were they playing against? Vegas. Oh, okay. Oh, 40 on FanDuel. He had 27. He had 27. All right, let's go to this game. How many more do we have after this? All right, 2 more? Oh, good time. Good timing. Sharks, Avs, 2.7 implied total for the Sharks, 3.7 for the Avs. Marty Jones, Philip Grubauer. Colorado 1 night? Question mark. Yeah, it is. It's a good Colorado night. I'm glad I don't just play one lineup. I wouldn't want to choose between Colorado 1 and Florida 1 and Dallas 1, Washington 1, because you can't really play those lines together. But I get it if Colorado 1 is everyone's top play. They're not my top play. Even if I come in underweight on them, they're probably going to be in double digits for me, which not a lot of lines are going to be in double digits based on a more spread out approach on a 13-game slate. So don't want to act like I hate Colorado 1. Certainly going to have them. In fact, some of my best lineups are Colorado 1 lineups. So they'll be up there. I'll have them in a various amount of tournaments. I'll have some of them in the $15 qualifier and all that. So I just want to make that clear. Second line, Kadri, Burakovsky, Nishushkin. I'm a little bit lighter on than the field, it looks like. But that is probably a line that you can include if you're talking about value tonight. There are a bunch of good value lines. Sharks side. San Jose 1. Just good numbers, and they've actually been decent defensively. So this is another reason why I guess I give the slight lean to Washington 1 over Colorado 1. Colorado 1 doesn't really hard match, but you would expect San Jose with the stacked top line that they would see the majority or the lion's share of the ice time. So if those two are going to get matched up together, you look at the numbers for San Jose 1, they're pretty good defensively. Maybe they've been going up against weak competition. There's probably something to be said for that. But overall, they've been pretty solid. And so you're playing a really expensive Colorado 1 against a line, going up against a line who has good defensive numbers. So I guess that would be a reason to maybe temper expectations for Colorado 1. But they're, as always, the worst fade to watch. I can't stand it when someone's chasing me down with McKinnon. I think I said it last time. He's like, you feel like he's going to score every time when you don't have him. And so I'll probably get some of that. Who dislikes this and gave it a thumbs down? I don't know, but maybe we can drown them out here. We got 200 of you watching, so maybe we could get a better ratio going on before you guys dip out of here. Yeah, that's really it. It's the two top lines. I'm actually over on San Jose 1. I'm a little bit surprised at how popular they're going to be with the 2.7 implied total, but people just notice it's a good price for Hurdle in the bank, and especially Kane at 5,800. Think it'll probably be a pretty fun game. Carlson and Burns. I'm on the Burns train. I don't know if I'm back in for good, but recently I've been back in. I think 6,200 is a really good price playing with Hurdle and LeBanc on the top power play. Yeah, I like it a lot. I really do. Colorado, pretty poor kill as well. So there you go. You're getting a cheap San Jose 1. And, yeah, man, anyways, let's move it on. I was going to go on a tangent there, but we don't have time for that. Let's go to the next game. Arizona, Vancouver, 2.7 implied total for the Coyotes, 2.8 for the Canucks. Aiden Hill and Jacob Markstrom are your goalies. We have a little bit of a shakeup, I believe, from last game. Besser down to the third line, Virtanen up to the second. Horvat, Pearson, Eriksson, that's the line we've seen a bunch of times this season recently. Horvat, Pearson, Eriksson, probably going to spend a lot of time against Dvorak, Hall, Garland. You know, if you're on Dvorak, Hall, and Garland, we saw what they could do last game. Not necessarily a reason to get off of them, but what I think that matchup does, for me at least, is yes, I would love it if Brock Besser was on that line instead of Virtanen, but Virtanen's just fine, 3,500. I really, really like Vancouver too. I've been targeting against this Soderberg, Schmaltz, Keller line. I think you could certainly target against Stepan, Krause, and Kessel as well. And you know, I think it's just going to be a really good 5-on-5 spot. So you're getting slightly downgraded, not slightly, it is a decent downgrade from Besser to Virtanen, but cheap, going to get good matchups all night at 5-on-5. They all get power play time. You're getting still Miller, Pettersson on that top unit, Virtanen secondary. You could even stack them up with Besser. I think that's fine as well if you're just going for the power play stack. Now I know Arizona isn't really a team you need to target against for power plays. They're not taking a lot of penalties. They have a good kill, all that. But you never know in a one-game sample. So Vancouver 2 is the play I prefer in this game a lot, and it has to do a lot with the 5-on-5 matchups. I think this line especially is brutal defensively. Probably going to spend a decent amount of time against them as well, though. Hughes, Edler, Stetcher. Oh, man, we got top pairing Troy Stetcher again. Jeez, I didn't even notice this before. Unless he's playing 30 minutes a game, you're probably getting one shot and one block, and that's probably about it. I'm not that interested in Hughes or Edler or anyone on the Arizona side either in terms of defensemen. It would be Arizona 1 or virtually nothing. This is going to be a line that I probably just cross out. I don't care how they project. They play terrible. They get caved all the time. And Stetcher just got a goal. Well, there you go. Stetcher nuts. Oh, man. I mean, $2,500 if he's going to play with Edler. Sure, but no. Let's move it on, and let's get out of here. We're a few minutes past already. NHL projections. These are free today. Go check those out if you want to get a peek behind the paywall. NBA projections are also free from Awesemo, the #1 DFS player in the entire world. Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports helps make this happen, so we should go support them. By we, I mean you guys. I can't use promo code Awesemo, but you guys can get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points. That would help out both parties. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Tomorrow will be a 3-game slate. So it will just be Nolan. It will not be Nolan. Nolan will be back on Tuesday. So you guys are not getting really any Nolan this week. I think we might have a decent Monday slate. If so, it will be Slim Cliffy on that day with me. If you could hit the like button on the way out, that would be very much appreciated. Thanks for watching, and good luck tonight.